Hi, so I'll be talking about RTI today, which is called Response to Intervention for the CAA number 3. So what is RTI? RTI is a multi-level system of intervention designed to address different learning needs, reduce disability identification, and provide evidence for the appropriate identification of learning disabilities. It is intended to improve the overall quality of instructional offerings in schools and to integrate general education more completely with special education. RTI is conceptually related to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, particularly the Reading First components, and the Individuals with Disability Education Act. So some of the components of RTI are use of evidence-based practices, early intervention, careful monitoring of progress, fidelity of implementation, data-based decision-making, and multiple tiers of intervention. Increasing intensity. So it is more systematic and explicit instruction, more frequently implemented instruction, instruction of longer duration, smaller and more homogeneous student groups, and instructors with greater expertise. So some of the models of RTI are standard treatment protocol approach, problem-solving approach, multiple tiers of intervention, treatment resistors, part of the multiple tiers of intervention, and multi-tiered systems of support. Screening measures intended to be easy to implement and score and provide a general picture of academic achievement in a particular area possess two qualities: sensitivity, which identifies students who are at risk for academic difficulties in the area being measured, and specificity. Students who perform acceptably on the measure are unlikely to have academic problems in the area and be implemented with fidelity or as intended. So progress monitoring. It involves collecting multiple performance measures over time to determine whether progress is appropriate and if it's not appropriate to identify more effective programs. Purpose of programs monitoring at each level. There are 3 tiers. Tier 1, determining whether students are making adequate progress in general education classrooms. Tier 2, determine whether students are making adequate progress to return to Tier 1. Tier 3, providing information on the adequacy of instruction. So the tiers and the effective instruction. So Tier 1 represents scientifically based instruction implemented in general education classrooms. Tier 2 is intended for those students for whom Tier 1 instruction is found to be insufficient and includes more intensive instruction delivered to smaller groups. Tier 3 is intended for those students for whom Tier 2 instruction is found to be insufficient and is represented by placement in special education. So evidence-based interventions, research that employs rigorous and systematic procedures, experimental or quasi-experimental research designs, and reliable and valid measures, and subjected to review by experts. Features of all the tiers. So their instructional group size, duration and frequency of the intervention, instructor training and focus of content or skill being taught, performance standards and frequency of progress monitoring, and evidence-based interventions. Implementation of Tier 1 instruction. Instruction must include universal screening and progress monitoring based upon common standards and program coherence. All elements aligned horizontally across curriculum and vertically across grade levels throughout the school. Teachers must be more oriented to scientifically based practices. Tier 2 intervention is delivered to small groups of students with similar areas of difficulty, implemented in separate areas in the general education classroom or in separate setting, delivered by specialized instructional personnel using scientifically based instruction, provided over an extended period of time, and instruction is more intensive and focused, and progress monitoring is more frequent. Tier 2. There are three things for Tier 2: problem-solving approaches, standard protocol approaches, and decision-making. For problem-solving, teams meet, consider evidence regarding student academic progress, and, when needed, outline a plan to address learning challenges. Effective when combined with scientifically based intervention, continuous progress monitoring, effective collaboratively relationships, and direct connection to general education instruction. Standard protocol approaches. Students are grouped according to instructional need and provided with scientifically based interventions. Schools must indicate that their intervention replicate the intervention validated in previous research. Describe the skills addressed, the place of instruction, appropriate instructional materials, and means for assessing progress. For decision-making implemented over a period of 9 to 12 weeks, near the end of the period, a determination must be made regarding the effectiveness of Tier 2 instruction. If progress is adequate, student resumes being served in general education. If progress is not adequate, referral for evaluation for Tier 3 may be warranted. For Tier 3, individualized intensive instruction. It involves intensive and individualized instruction implemented more frequently and over a longer period of time than Tier 2. Focused directly on precise learning objectives, implemented individually or in small groups. An IDEA specifies the criteria for special identification procedures. So the RTI at the secondary level. Scheduling can be more complicated. Much less research on RTI at the second level. Greater and more varied number of subjects. Early intervention no longer an important objective. Reading and basic math are no longer individual subjects of instruction, and various skills and content domains addressed as needed. So some of the challenges to RTI: that there are disagreement about the role of RTI in evaluating students for special education placement. The degree to which evaluations based upon RTI discriminate between learning disabilities and other disabilities is unknown. Different versions of RTI, and varied procedures for determining success in a given tier. And that is all, and this is my presentation for the RTI.